hopefully that was helpful. Gives you guys a better understanding of what's going on, what to look for. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching and have an absolutely beautiful day. Spiritual bypassing, the Karens of our community. So I am going to talk with you today a little bit about spiritual bypassing and another section of it, which I kind of call the Karens, right? No offense to any Karens that are out there. I have a really wonderful friend named Karen. She does not do this, but that's kind of the terminology of what people are kind of using right now. So in order to kind of help you understand kind of the energy and direction of where we're going, that's what we're going to use for today. Now, spiritual bypassing, I have a bunch of different videos on this because there's so many pieces of it, right? People are doing so many different things in this area. And I just want to kind of share with you what spiritual bypassing is and give you some examples of things you might see so that if you encounter it, you understand what you're looking at, and also that you can find a way to deal with it that will work for you, right? Now, spiritual bypassing is basically when somebody has other work to do and they're ignoring doing that work by throwing themselves into spirituality instead, right? Some people have just regular issues they need to deal with. Some people have, more emotional issues that are intense. Some people have addiction issues that are difficult. Sometimes people's lives are just a mess and they don't know why. And they don't want to look at why, because if they did, it would be really uncomfortable. So they're just not ready to go there yet, right? It's just too hard. It's too overwhelming. So they come to the spiritual community because a lot of us here are we've worked on ourselves. So our energy is different, our perspective is different. We have learned and grown as human beings. And I think that's very attractive for people when they see individuals like that. They're like, that looks great. I want that because my life is this and I want that. So if I'm here with those people, it'll just rub off, right? And I think a lot of people mistakenly come here not understanding how much work that we are doing to get this way. So that is kind of spiritual bypassing, right? Just kind of like putting a Band-Aid over the bullet hole there and like hoping everything seals up okay. Now, I want to talk for a minute about the Karens in the community here, a little Karen sect, right? So the Karens in our community, what they're really doing is I kind of categorize these people as individuals who kind of think they have the right to dictate how you're doing it, right? It's sort of like that quote, like it's always those people with no magic that are trying to tell you what to do with yours. And that is the perfect quote for how the Karens are doing it, right? A lot of Karens also are kind of sometimes they're in that top surface area, right? And sometimes they are a little deeper. They are practicing a little bit. They have a little bit more knowledge, but they haven't actually kind of really grasped the concepts and applied them properly, right? And if they have applied some of them properly, as you know, in spirituality, everyone's got a different way of doing things that works for them. And that's the great part, right? You can do it however it works for you, right? You can form your own practice. But in the Karen community, it's sort of like, oh, well, I do it this way and this is how it works for me. So you need to do it that way too. And because you're doing it different, you're wrong. And let me tell you something about you, right? And so that's part of it. A lot of it's very ego driven, I think, is the situation that we were encountering with the Karens. It comes from a place of ego, right? A place of like, I need to feel important, or I am important. Look at me, listen to me. I have all the answers, right? It's sort of, and sometimes too, it can be that energy of wearing your spirituality like a badge, right? A lot of people will do this either with just vocally, they'll tell you like, oh, I'm this, or oh, I'm that, like, oh, I'm a witch, or I trained with these people, or I did, it's always this, their credentials come out first instead of like, hi, I'm Nikki, it's nice to meet you. Oh yeah, no, I've lived here for a long time, or oh, have you tried the cheesecake at this restaurant? It's really good. Like, instead of that, it's that spiritual thing that comes out first, because that's what they need people to know about them, because then they can kind of go into their thing of like, let me tell you how to do things right, or let me tell you where you're wrong, because it makes them feel better about kind of where they're at, right? There could also probably, I'm sure there's a lot of other psychological reasons why this is happening. I am not a therapist, so I do not have all of the answers. But in my personal experience, from what I have seen and witnessed, this is usually kind of what is going on with this. Also, too, I think sometimes if you find one thing that works for you and it changes your life, I think that that's really great. But I also think it might not change everybody's life, right? There are different pockets of spirituality. There's different areas of study. And so you can't force somebody to do it your way. You have to allow people to do it their way. And I think this is where people are getting stuck with that bypassing. They are kind of missing the point of spirituality. It's like, well, you got to do it my way. You have to do what I say, or it's wrong. And that's not right. I think it's great to share information and teach things you've learned. I love talking to people in this community because I always get smarter, and I always meet really fun, interesting people, and I learn something new, and I might learn a new way to do something that I'm already doing. So for me, that's the joy of it, of connecting. And I think the spiritual bypassing, it takes away that joy by saying, trying to organize it in a certain way. And there's no organization. It's kind of messy. It's whatever you like. That's good. If you want something to be organized, you can go to church or do another religion where they have protocols and rules and regulations that are solid and hard fast. But I think a lot of people don't resonate with that, and that's why they're here, right? They need something that works for them, and not everything is a one-size-fits-all cookie cutter sort of situation. So if you see people that are doing that, what do you do? Well, sometimes people are receptive and sometimes people aren't. And I think you have to really decide where the person is on that spectrum and whether or not you want to take the time or the energy to help. I think genuinely a lot of people do want to be helpful. And so it is difficult when we see this. We just want to help people understand. But you have to understand that not everyone is ready. Not everyone's at that level. And a lot of people in this category, if you let them sit long enough, if you let them be in this community long enough, if you let them learn more long enough, if you let them come into contact with more people long enough, they can downshift out of that. They really can. So you have to give them the time and space to do that. Hopefully that was helpful. Gives you guys a better understanding of what's going on, what to look for. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an absolutely beautiful day.